when our yearbooks were being signed, a lot of the girls would sign, "You're going to be the best dad one day." And I was like, best dad?
Hello and welcome to the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast. I am your host, your roast-coming queen, a girl who's still kind of trying to figure out what to do with her hair, Alise Morales. And with us today, we have such a funny comedian and actor, one of the hosts of the Minivan Men podcast right here on the All Things Comedy Network. But before all of that, he was a graduate of Redwood High School. It's Maz Jobrani!
Hi, Alise. How are you? Actually, the Minivan Men is no longer happening. My podcast now is called Back to School with Maz Jobrani. So
well,
you just gave me an intro from 10 years ago. So my high school self and my previous podcast self.
Cool. Well, that's something that needs to be addressed on your Wikipedia page. And
there you go. You know, Wikipedia is such a disaster. But I'm aware of that because I've tried to change things on my Wikipedia page and they've told me they don't trust me. It's a weird thing.
So you can't get on there to be like, actually, I have another podcast and it's this one.
I don't even know. I'm going to have someone reach out to them. I honestly had some other information on there about me and I was trying to get it off and they kept saying, no, this is on here because it's been proven or whatever. And I said, I'm the guy. It's me. And I had like my manager, my agent, I had my brother. I had everybody try to reach out to them and they wouldn't believe us. They would believe the public more than they would believe the actual source.
Well, I don't have a Wikipedia page, so, at least
I'm better for it.
At least you've got one, or maybe I'm better for it. So Redwood High School, before we dive into everything, what is this, a public or a private high school?
Redwood is a public high school. And as a matter of fact, they were recently in the news, unfortunately, because something happened where someone there was posting, I think, like Nazi or anti-Semitic stuff online or somewhere. And I'm going, oh no, that was my school. What are you doing? You're not supposed to do that. And but also it's where Robin Williams went to high school for a little while.
Oh, okay. So, you're obviously you're in your comedy, you talk about politics. Was teenage Maz Jobrani interested in all of that stuff, or?
Teenage Maz was not as interested in that stuff. Teenage Maz was really into sports. Mm-hmm. I still exercise, but I follow sports now kind of peripherally. Like I'll turn it on for just my kind of brain dead watching, or if there's a big game going on, I'll watch. But back then I was really into the players and who was who and my team and all that stuff. So I wasn't into politics as much, although I will say again, being an immigrant, especially of Iranian descent, I was born in Iran, I grew up in America. I don't know how other immigrants are, like Nigerian, Indian, Chinese, those immigrants from those places, but the Iranian community seems to be pretty politically minded. And the reason being that we left our mother country because of a revolution. Now, I was only 6 years old. I didn't know much, but I think that instilled this sense of politics and being aware of politics for people from my background. So I know that my father would read the paper all the time. I think that they weren't a political family where they were writing op-eds or anything, but they just knew what was going on. And your typical Iranian in this world, in America for sure, when I run into an Iranian American versus like an American who's been here for several generations, I will see that the Iranian American will tend to be more versed in politics than someone, because I think in America we get distracted with all the stuff we've had for 200 and something years. We've had relative peace. Now, yes, we have protests. We have, coronavirus. Right now it's probably more heightened than it's been in a long time, but maybe during Vietnam it was heightened. Maybe during the Civil Rights Movement it was heightened. But we have not gotten to the point of having a revolution since the revolution. Yeah, so when you're in a country where there's a revolution and then this other government takes over and they're oppressive and all, so then you kind of are mentally in that political world. And
Yes.
so I think that I found my politics in college, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. So at the time when you're growing up, was there a large Iranian community around you, or like, was your group of friends other Iranian kids your age?
It was very different. So I grew up in Northern California, Marin County. And up there was a community of Iranians. And I think mostly our parents probably all knew each other. But a lot of my closest friends were, I had like maybe 2 or 3 Iranian friends. And then I had that I'd met through my parents. They were the kids of my parents' friends. However, some of them I went to school with, so we became friends. But a lot of my friends were just white dudes. I had one black friend. I had a couple of Asian friends. I mean, it was a little more. It was not as focused on Iranians. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I used to kind of be a little embarrassed of my Iranian parents. Mm-hmm. So when they would show up at school, I was like, oh my God, here they come. They had accents. They felt like they dressed differently. They drove like, high-end cars. And it was just embarrassing to me. So I was just trying to lay low, be one of the other kids.
It's funny that them having a high-end car was also one of the things.
Well, it's funny because Marin County, where I grew up, is actually a very wealthy county. Marin County Tiburon is just a lot of rich people. But I do a joke about it on my stand-up. I say, my dad had been a successful businessman in Iran. And when he came to America, he was lucky enough to be able to bring a lot of his money with him. Now, later on, he went on and lost all that money in bad real estate investments. But when he first came out and he had the money, my father was very generous. And he kind of reminds me of the Godfather character, the Don Corleone character in The Godfather.
Yes.
He helped all of his friends whenever he could. So if a friend had something that they couldn't afford anymore, my father would just take it off their hands and pay them for it. So he ended up buying a Rolls-Royce from a friend of his. Now, this is when I must have been in the 5th or 6th grade. I don't know what grade I was in, but elementary school. My father's driving me to school in a Silver Shadow Rolls-Royce. And it was so embarrassing because I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, they already say you're like, you own oil wells and all this other stuff. People coming over. I would duck in the back of the car to not be seen and then like get out as quickly as I could. Because the other kids whose parents were also well off, but since it was Marin County, it would be a doctor driving a Volvo or, a CEO driving a Saab.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, they weren't as ostentatious as my parents were.
Let's pull up, we actually have we have a photo of you in your football uniform. You mentioned sports. What was your social situation like? Were you a true jock at this time or what?
Gosh, I think I had a little bit of everything. Well, first of all, it's funny because whenever I post these pictures, everyone's like, oh my God, you had hair. And it's crazy to see that thick of hair on me. And, I was going through this thing. Gorgeous hair. And also I had eyebrows. My eyebrows have thinned out. I don't know what's going on. I am slowly disappearing with all my follicles are going away.
Yeah. People get those eyebrows tattooed on their face now.
I know. I should go get a tattoo maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Also, the nose is funny because the nose grew, and I was very self-conscious of that nose. And I think my dad might have even said at some point, listen, my son, if you want at some point, we can get a nose job or something. I was like, I don't want a nose job. That's weird. But
that's so interesting. Did it consume a lot of your time worrying about your nose? Because I worried about my nose growing up too.
Listen, I was self-conscious of a lot of stuff because I also had like the slightest, I mean, you see, I'm pretty fit, but I had the slightest kind of belly around, like at the bottom of my belly. So when we go swimming, sometimes I was, with all the other kids, I was just too embarrassed to take off my shirt, even though I was pretty thin. I was just like,
I know, it's so crazy to look. You're so skinny and small in this. Like, I can't even imagine, but.
Yeah, but that's what it is. I mean, I think that's the difficulty because now being a parent with my son now is 12, my daughter's 9, and you read about all these kids in high school and how, conscious they are of the way they look and all that stuff. And it's interesting because I've read about the development of the brain, and their brain is not developed enough the amygdala is not developed enough to really process what the objectivity that you need to be able to sit there. Because as an adult, you could go there and say, kids, I know some of you are going through this and that, and you feel you're insecure about your looks and your friends and other, but don't worry, it's all going to be fine. This is going to go. And to them, they're like, no, you don't understand. This is my world every single moment, every day. But on the back end, I can sit here and go, who cared about the nose? I mean, I was a good kid. Look, I'm exercising, I'm fine. Who cares about the little belly? Take off your shirt and show your belly. It's fine.
You're a kid. You're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had to rank like the top things that were consuming your brain power at this time in your life, what were like Maz's top 3?
Well, first of all, just to be clear, like my sport was soccer, but this is freshman year, and I think I decided to kind of give soccer a break and try football, and it was a lot of fun. I was there with a lot of my friends, but I also did, plays, and I was one of these guys who got along with everybody. I wasn't a jock, and I wasn't a drama nerd, and I wasn't, I didn't get high, but I had stoner friends. So I really was someone who was kind of born to be a diplomat. Here, this is freshman year in high school. So number one thing on my mind is just like women. I'm going through puberty. I remember I was in some classes. There was one girl who was a year older than me in this class. And I swear to God, like I thought she was so hot. And I remember I would kind of like lean back and try and catch an angle. Like we were like the rows, the rows were all set up. So it's like, like this. So I was probably in row 4 and she was like in row 2, but kind of around the same like location up and down. So I remember I like leaned back to try and get a glance of just like she was, she was blossoming and she was beautiful. I don't think she knew who I was or anything, but
did you have like any game? Like, were you able to talk to these girls at all, or?
No game. And that's the thing. I was a nice guy, but I was very shy. I was the guy who, and that's part of the problem is a couple of my friends who I'm still close friends with, they had major games. So these guys were like hooking up with girls left and right. And these were my closest friends. And I was just like, oh, wow, that seems pretty cool. But I was a funny guy. I was a, relatively popular guy. But I remember in junior high school when our yearbooks were being signed, a lot of the girls would sign, oh my God, you're the nicest guy. You're going to be the best dad one day. And I was like, best dad? How about like, let's hook up. So
no high school boy wants to be told like you're gonna be a great dad someday.
Horrible. It was
absolutely horrible.
And I think a lot of it was I was embarrassed, I was shy, and then I think also like I don't know again if it's an immigrant thing or not, but my parents never had a talk with me, birds and bees, none of that stuff ever happened.
Did you feel like you and your parents had a culture clash at that time?
Absolutely, and all the time. I mean, they still, look, you're, again, a lot of immigrant communities, and I'll say this, Indian, Asian, Nigerian, Iranian, a lot of immigrant communities, really, they instill a certain level of respect for your elders. And I've said this before too, where I think in America, you're taught rebel against your elders. Mom says something, fuck you, dad, whatever, you do that. We could, that would be like, I may as well just commit suicide, and so, yeah, there was a lot of like, respect your parents. But at this age, I'm sure there was times that we were, first of all, from just wanting to be an actor and do plays and stuff. Like, I think my parents didn't want me to do that, but I was good at it. And they would come and support it, but they wouldn't understand it. Like the teachers would say things like, hey, your kid's got potential to do this for profession. And they'd be like, oh, great. And then they get in the car, they'd be like, that bitch is crazy. Don't listen to her. You're going to be a doctor.
My dad's Cuban. My mom's like a white Italian lady. And we definitely got into like American kid, like, you guys don't fucking understand me, like that kind of stuff. And it embarrasses me. It's one of the things that like truly I hold with me that I'm like, I can't believe I acted like that. It makes me so sad. And I'm always like trying to make up for it with my parents now to be like, hey, you guys know that I respect you so much. Hello, everyone. Today's episode of the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Breaking up with your old wireless provider just got a whole lot easier thanks to Mint Mobile. They were the first company to sell premium wireless online only, and now Mint Mobile is introducing their unlimited data plan for just $30 a month. Let that sink in. An unlimited plan for $30. How much is your soon-to-be ex wireless provider charging you? I bet it's more. I bet it's more. For people who hate their phone bill and are ready to cut ties with big wireless, Mint Mobile offers their premium unlimited service for just, you heard it once, you're going to hear it again, $30 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes significant savings onto you, my beloved listeners. All plans come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered to the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. And if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee. Break up with big wireless and switch to Mint Mobile's premium unlimited data plan for $30 a month. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $30 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/teenself. That's mintmobile.com/teenself. Cut your unlimited wireless bill to $30 a month at mintmobile.com/teenself. Hello, everyone. Today's episode of the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast is brought to you by Purple. You know this ad. You love this ad. Throw some bedding on a bunch of different mattresses and sure, they all look the same. The same goes for pillows, but peel away the layers, look at what's inside, and you'll see that they are not all created equal. And that's what makes every Purple pillow and mattress unlike anything you've ever slept on. The Purple Grid sets the Purple mattress apart from every other mattress. It's a patented comfort technology that instantly adapts to your body's natural shape and sleep style. With over 1,800 open-air channels designed to neutralize body heat, Purple provides a cooling effect other mattresses can't replicate. And this cutting-edge technology doesn't stop with mattresses. Every Purple pillow is engineered with the Grid for total head and neck support and absolute airflow, so you're always on the cool side of the pillow. I'm going to stay away from talking about my sweat issues today and just talk about how cool the actual Purple Grid is. Purple actually sent me a little sample of the Grid, and it's really squishy, and I use it as like a little stress reliever. So, I don't know if any of you have turned on a news channel, but there's some stress out there in the world, but the Purple Grid, it just eliminates it. It just eliminates it because Purple's proprietary technology has been innovating comfort for over 15 years, and you can try every Purple product risk-free with free shipping and returns. And Purple has financing available as low as 0% APR for qualified customers. Experience the Purple Grid and you'll sleep like never before. Go to purple.com/teenself10 and use promo code TeenSelf10. That's TeenSelf and then the number 10 for a limited time, and you'll get 10% off any order of $200 or more. That's purple.com/teenself10, promo code TeenSelf10 for 10% off any order of $200 or more. Terms apply. Bonjour, mon ami. Today's episode of the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast is brought to you by Trivia Star. Don't you miss trivia nights? Those used to be so fun. But guess what? You can bring trivia night right into your own home with Trivia Star. Trivia Star is a free mobile quiz game that's entertaining and challenging. You can choose categories like music, sports, movies, TV, animals, celebrities. There are over 60 categories to choose from, so there's always more trivia to explore. Unlike Trivia Night, which eventually ends with some drunk guy getting really mad because he disagrees with what the person who's in charge is saying. You don't need to have any of that, okay? You can just play Trivia Star. If you choose the correct answer from multiple choices and beat the clock, you move on to the next level. It's that simple. No angry drunk guy. The questions get harder over time, but if you get stuck, don't worry, because you can use coins and gems to get a hint to beat the next level. Again, Trivia Night, you're not getting coins and gems, okay? But Trivia Star, you are. And Trivia Star has over 2,000 5-star reviews in the Apple Store. Join them today and see if you are smart enough to win, which I know that you are, because you've been listening to this podcast and you are an open-hearted and open-minded person. So right now, Trivia Star is offering you 2,500 coins and 500 gems when you download and play. Just go to the Apple or Google Store and search Trivia Star. Very simple. Use your usual searching skills. Again, search Trivia Star and enjoy 2,500 coins and 500 gems. Download Trivia Star for free today.
Listen, it's a brain development thing. And I see my son now, who's 12, kind of talking back a little bit. And again, having read books about kids and their development and all that stuff, I try to be a little more patient. And I try to, once he's a little more calm, I go in there and I talk to him. And he always goes, yeah, I'm right. You're right. I kind of acted out, blah, blah, blah. And the hope is, I guess, eventually for them to see it. But it's an age-old thing that your mind doesn't see it the way an adult mind's going to see it. Because a lot of these same people that butt heads in their early teens with their parents, they grow up and become best friends with their parents. And just hanging out with them.
Yeah, I mean, I have a great relationship with my parents now, but at that time it was so explosive and intense and just like, but so did you get into any like real trouble at all, or did your parents, like, it worked, you towed the line?
It's funny you say that, because I was talking to my son about this the other day, and I'm trying to, similar to parents, I'm trying to talk to him about his respect for his teachers as well as my daughter. And I'm saying, look, you're on Zoom now, and I know it can be very tedious, and you might be bored, and you might blurt something out. And I said, just sometimes think about the teacher. They're on the other end trying to hold this together, and they want the best for you. So I'm trying to get my son to think about his teacher before he blurts anything out. And I said, if you have some kind of question or something you want to say to the teacher, wait, and then during the office hours you can go one-on-one, because that teacher also has an ego. Well, I, as a kid, got in trouble a couple of times for being too talkative in class, blurting things out, trying to be funny. There was a couple of teachers that I just didn't really get along with, so I'd be saying things and get sent to the office. I remember being in the office in junior high school with my mom, and my mom had brought my uncle, my mom's sister had married an American man. And so his English was very good. And so he showed up with my mom, and they sat with me, with the principal. And it was like, what's going on? Why are you acting out like this? Because I was generally a good kid. I was a polite kid. I was super polite. Like, again, I think this is part of what was instilled in me as a child, but I took it to the farthest level you could is like, if I came to someone's house, even my friends, I would show up and I'd stop at the front door, and they would walk in and say, what are you doing? I say, can I come in? They say, yeah, come on in. What are you doing? And then I'd go inside and I'd stand by the couch. What's going on? Can I sit? Yeah, have a seat. Just like, I was like a dog.
Those are like the rules that a vampire has to live by. Like, they have to ask if they can come in.
Vampire. Yeah.
Do you remember, like, when you were engaging in your class clownery or whatever, was it mostly just like yelling something out to make a comment, or were you like into pranks at all?
I think it was more the yelling stuff out. I wasn't into pranks, but I was always into being kind of a class clown, saying funny things. I also fell in love with Eddie Murphy at that age, like around the time I was 10 and he was big. And so I was watching a lot of stand-up and Saturday Night Live and all that stuff. So I liked comedy a lot. And so I'm sure there were times in class that I just, had a comeback. And the teacher probably at a certain point would say, Jobrani or Maziar, that was my full name, was Maziar. Maziar, you better, one more warning. I'd be like, all right. Then I'd probably look at my other couple friends who were also funny ones and just be raring to do one more, like, just let me get one more in. And so, yeah, it's interesting because, like I said, I try to, whenever my wife gets upset at my son nowadays, I remind her, I go, look, I was a really good kid and I couldn't help but get in a little bit of trouble. I had to, you know, because I also had some friends. I had some of my close friends who were going far. Like, it started with, you know, you'd be hanging out with your buddies, and we was like during 4th of July, it was, oh, we're gonna light some fireworks. Well, the fireworks at that point was go get some M80s, which is like a quarter stick of dynamite. Get some M80s from Chinatown, and then we would do a thing where my friend would hold it, I would light it, and he would throw it. Now, idea is to get it to blow up on, you know, in the air, going, so of course you could blow out your fingers as well.
Yeah.
But those friends, some of those friends, they just kept spiraling. So it was from that to then they were hanging out with like kids and getting stoned, and then they were like going deeper, and then they were like getting in fights and getting expelled. Like, I think the thing that saved me was I did not get into drugs. Like, I wasn't into smoking any weed or anything. I just didn't like smoking at all. And I would drink. My father drank. My mom would drink casually. My father actually was kind of a functioning alcoholic. But like, I think at the age of like, whatever it was, 14 or 15, me and my buddies would have somebody buy alcohol. We get drunk, you know, you'd throw up sometimes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, oh, I have to have it. And it didn't get me into a situation where I was, you know, making a deal on a corner with somebody to get some weed or whatever that was, the Coke or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and it seems like you had a lot of other activities and stuff going on in your life. Like, we have a football picture. You're saying you also played soccer, and then maybe you were more into soccer.
Yeah, so freshman year I did football. Then the rest of my high school career, I did soccer. We had a really good soccer team. We went to like the Northern California Championships. It was so much fun. It's my sport. I mean, in my life, I've always loved soccer. And then I also played baseball. So it would be fall soccer, spring baseball, and then in the summer you'd train for the soccer again. And then in between all that, I was also in theater. I was trying to be a good student as much as I could. I was good at math. Yeah, you're right. I had a lot of activities. I like to go to baseball games. I would, you know, I stayed pretty busy.
What plays did you do? Do you remember like the first part that you did that gave you like the bug to perform?
Well, first of all, going back to all the activities, I also would have summer jobs. I never sat around. I was always doing something. So I was, you know, always active. The first play I did, junior high school, 7th grade, it was the musical The Boyfriend. And I don't know why I auditioned for it. You know The Boyfriend? You don't know it?
I don't.
One of the songs that goes, won't you, Charleston, with me? Won't you, Charleston, with me? If you see it, the Charleston is a famous song from like the 20s or something.
I'm aware of the Charleston.
Yeah, the Charleston, yeah. So I auditioned for that, and I'm not sure what got me to audition for it. I don't know if it was like my friends wanted to do it, or like some of the girls I was attracted to were doing it, or I just wanted to try it. This is 7th grade. I'm pretty sure there was something there where they were saying, we need boys, so just come on out, you know? Okay, so I try it.
That's always how it worked for the boys. And then for the girls, we were like fucking mud wrestling each other for these parts, like tearing each other's hair out.
Hilarious. The boys want to do it. So I got in and I was, you know, background dancer or whatever. And so the director, her name was Shirley Bonbright. And Shirley Bonbright was a volunteer. She was just directing. And she told us, she said, when you're doing a musical, when you're on stage singing and dancing in the background, you need to always be smiling and, you know, and be dancing, right? So again, as a good immigrant kid, I took that to heart. I was like, Shirley said, you know, she's authority. She said smile, so I'm going to smile. And again, of course, my American rebellious friends were probably like, whatever, you know, so they were just like out there doing their thing. So one day in 7th grade, I was sick. I was under the weather, but I went to rehearsals because I knew it was important to be there because I also instilled that in you. So I showed up. Hi, Miss Bonbright. I'm here today, a little under the weather, but I'm going to get through it. Oh, thank you for coming. Great. So now I'm on stage singing and dancing. Da, 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 da. She stops the whole rehearsal. Stop. Everybody stop. Stop. What's going on? Look at him. Look at him. He's sick and he came and he's smiling and he's dancing. You should all learn from him. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you should. So
he has what it takes to make it on Broadway.
Exactly. So it was a moment of, whoa. And then I think they gave me like a couple of extra lines in the play, and I felt good about it. I was like, that's cool. So next year, 8th grade, I did, it was Little Abner, and I was Little Abner. And I actually have the video of that somewhere. Yeah, so that was a blast. I had fun. Then I go to my high school, which Redwood High School had a theater company called the Ensemble Theater Company. It was between Redwood, Drake, and Tam. Those are the 3 high schools of that. But they had the Ensemble Theater Company. There was a lady, her name was Michelle Swanson, who ran the Ensemble Theater Company. As a matter of fact, I've connected with her later in life.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I hooked up on tour recently, saw her in Portland. But that was a real theater company where they taught, breaking down your script and the Meisner method and this and that and improv. And so I did it sophomore year, junior year, senior year. She was yet another one of the teachers who said, you can do this professionally. And I didn't even know what that meant. And then we would do, what was great about the ETC, the Ensemble Theater Company, it was they had the kids quite often write, produce, do the tech, everything. So I just remember being in all these one-act plays that were written by the other kids. Yes. And I remember doing the tech. That was a great experience.
Did you gravitate, like when there was the opportunity, did you gravitate towards comedic roles and doing comedy in that? Or were you like, I'm a straight actor?
No, I think it was the former. I also loved doing the straight actor, but having been a fan of Eddie Murphy and all these comedy people and wanted to actually, I wanted to get to SNL at that point. I was like, I want to be, because Eddie'd gotten to SNL at the age of 19. I said, I want to get to SNL younger. And perhaps I would have pursued it actually if my parents had been of the mind of like, go for it. But they were like, no, you need to do something else. And so I took a detour and didn't really pursue comedy and acting professionally until I was 26. But, like you look at a guy like I said, Robin Williams went to the same high school. He was so amazing as a comedic actor, but you will look at someone like that if you want to be inspired by them and go, wow, look at how great he is as a dramatic actor. So you wanted a chance to do both. And I continue to have that desire.
Do you ever look back? Like I look back on a lot of my high school shows, and especially the ones where we like really tried to tackle like, intense material, like your animal cruelty play. I remember feeling at that time that I was like, we are so good. And I would love to be able to objectively go back and watch and see like what the actual skill level was that was happening there.
Well, I think that you hit a certain age, whether it's like sophomore, junior, senior, where some real talented people start to pop.
Yes.
And I say that having gone back years ago, I was doing some play in LA and we needed a theater. And so we went to the Beverly Hills High School Theater to see what it looked like. And they said, why don't you come watch this current play we have going, and then you guys can see what it looks like when it's lit up and everything. So sure. We show up and this production was amazing and people were dancing and the legs were kicking high and they were all in line and the acting, and I go, whoa. And so we all know, I think the difference between stand-up comedy and singing for sure, and also probably acting somewhat, stand-up comedy, you really have to put in the years. You very rarely find a young stand-up comic who has a point of view that's very clear, has the writing down and is saying something. It really takes 5 to 10 years. With your voice, you could have just a beautiful voice. And I've seen it now. We see it now all the time on social media. People, jamming with a song. You go, whoa, how old is this person? And with acting, sometimes the lesser experienced actors are more uninhibited. And that's what you need. Inhibition's the enemy of acting. So, I have been, I think that if you went back and saw those productions, you would see some sparks of, wow, that's pretty good. But obviously there's also, look, on Broadway, you have 100 people who all want to be actors. In your school play, you have 3 people that want to be actors, 3 that are like, they're all right. And then the rest is just like, oh, I just did this for fun. And they're not going to,
yeah. Or like there's a girl here that I think is a cute girl, or vice versa.
Exactly.
We've got 2 more photos of you, and I would love to go through them before we round everything out. Is this photo, you are dressed as Batman? Are we in a play here?
Yeah, so this was our senior class play. As I said, it's a musical, written, composed, all the above by the students. And it was Batman the musical, and I got to play Batman, and I was a senior. And it's funny because sometimes when I talk about coming to Hollywood as a Middle Eastern American actor, I go, you know, in high school I got to play Batman, I was Little Abner, I got to play all these things, and in my mind I go, I'm going to go to Hollywood and be Batman. And you show up there like, no, you're not going to be Batman. You know, put on a turban.
Oh, no.
So it's a rude awakening. But this was, so the play, actually the main character was Robin in this play, but I played obviously sidekick Batman. And again, there were songs. Catwoman was played by China Cantner, who is Grace Slick's daughter from Jefferson Airplane.
Oh.
Yeah, so she lived in Marin. And it was, I still have songs, the theme song, it went, I love Gotham City, there's excitement in the air. I love Gotham City, there's excitement everywhere. So I still have that in my head 30 years later.
I have to ask, were you dating the theater girls? Because I feel like if you're starring in these plays, you're doing sports, you've got great hair, you would have been, as far as the Oakton High School theater program is concerned, you would have been cleaning up. So I have to ask.
Well, my son just came in to take his bike. I'm mid-Zoom, buddy. Get out of here. Go. Where are you going? Okay, can you close the door, please? That light just changed for me. Close the door. There he is. So I will answer you. No, I was not dating the theater girls. And, you know, again, I think my lack of game, I don't know. I look back on those years and I think what you just said, I go, God, I was a star of Little Abner. I probably could have made a move. I didn't make any moves. And I wasn't actually, I didn't have an actual girlfriend until I think it was summer of junior year going into senior year. And I met this girl who, she also played soccer. I played soccer. She was newer to the school and we hit it off and then we just started dating. But she wasn't one of the theater girls. And I had crushes on some of the theater girls, but again, I don't know why I never made, like, there was a lot of, like, looking back on it, there was a lot of times of, like, whatever, we would have, I don't know, dance-a-thon or something. You know, there was a dance-a-thon where we're raising money by dancing for hours and hours. And I'm sure there was moments of that dance-a-thon where it was like, oh, let's get a little massage train going. And you're massaging the girl that you have a crush on, or she's massaging you and she's giving you hints and you're just like, okay, whatever. All right. You know,
so many massage trains in high school theater. So many. We've got one more photo for you. And I think it's actually the perfect thing for me to pull up as I ask our last question, because you really do look very sweet and precious in this photo. I'm assuming this is your senior yearbook photo?
Yeah, senior yearbook photo. You got to wear, a tie. You got to look like a gentleman, as you can see. You got that scar. If you look at that scar, speaking of Cubans and Scarface, that scar on the, I guess if you're looking at it, it's the left cheek. That was, I guess when I was like 2 years old or so, I saw my dad shaving. So I wanted to try and shave. So I took a razor and it cut my skin. And so I've had that my whole life.
Oh my God.
Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, but it's like, I feel like it's one of those interesting scars. Like, I mean, it makes it look like you got in a cool fight and not that you just accidentally shaved.
Listen, my whole thing is, it's like, just live with what you have. I know, like I named, when you get into Hollywood and you're acting and all this stuff, at a certain point you incorporate. A lot of people that might be listening don't know this, but you get a corporation so that when you do a show, they don't pay you as Maz Jobrani, they pay you as your corporation.
Yes.
Tax purposes. So you got to come up with a name, right? And people go, Jobrani Limited or whatever it is. And I came up, my name for my corporation was Perfect Nose Productions, nose being the nose. And the reason was, I thought to myself at that point, when I was incorporating, I was older, obviously, I thought, you know, what you have and what's kind of been given to you is perfect. Like, learn to love what you have. So this nose of mine is perfect. My grandfather had a bumpy nose. It was perfect. My dad had a bumpy nose. It was perfect. And similarly with these scars, you know, obviously there are extreme situations where someone says, my God, I've got whatever, a really bad situation that I need to go get, you know, fixed through plastic surgery or what have you. But I just feel that more and more people go into this world of plastic surgery and Botox and hair plugs and blah, blah, blah. And I feel that what's detrimental is that it doesn't force them to work on themselves as people and improve themselves as people, but rather just what they see. And so when I see that scar, as you said, it's a story, it's part of me. So I would not touch it.
That's beautiful. And we end every episode of the podcast. I like to ask, if you could talk to Teen Maz today, what would you tell him?
If I could talk to Teen Maz today, I would say, you know what, go pursue the acting stuff. Go for your heart. Like, go. I mean, one thing I try not to do is never have regrets, because the fact is, those years from high school until the years I decided to do this professionally, I had amazing experiences. I went to college. I went to UC Berkeley. I love UC Berkeley. I went to Italy to study abroad, one of the best years of my life. I made some friends, et cetera, et cetera. However, there's an adventurous part of me that thinks, what would have happened? I almost, you know, I got into NYU coming out of high school, just as a, in the business program or something. It wasn't in the theater program. I actually heard Aziz Ansari talk about something very similar. And I thought to myself, I almost went to NYU with the intention of going there and then starting to do plays and whatever. So back in my mind, I wonder what would have happened if I would have pursued that and been in that world right away. Again, I'd be giving up a lot of stuff that I don't give up. I don't want to give up.
Yeah.
But it's a tough choice. But I would say to that guy, I'd say, go for it. Don't be, I mean, I've now, anytime I give advice to young people, I say, you live one life. So live for yourself. Don't live to impress your parents. Don't live to impress your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your whatever it is. If you're lucky enough to have found a passion, then go for it. And I would say that to this guy.
Go clean up with the theater girls. They probably have a crush on you.
Come on, dude, get some.
Maz, this was such a great episode. It was amazing to talk to you, and it was just a delight to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Claudia. I mean, Alise, okay. I'm sorry. I was looking at Claudia's. I was looking at Claudia's in because I know that I got to send her the thing, and I was about to ask her.
I introduced you with a podcast from 10 years ago, so it's exactly. Literally fine. We've
if you ever get a Wikipedia, it's going to list you as Claudia Morales.
Exactly. All right, and for everyone at home, this has been the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast.